Hello, everyone. My name is Seth, and today I want to give you my review of It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us is a romance movie based on a book by the same title, written by Colleen Hoover. My wife has read the book. She absolutely loved this book, and so she was so excited for this movie. And of course, I'm up for any movie, so I went with her to see it. She thinks that it absolutely lived up to the hype for her. For me, I can't say that it worked as well. But before we get into it, go ahead and like the video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. So first things first, I will say, as a whole, the film is made competently. It just has some really competent, solid filmmaking. Like, there's not any like major mistakes in the filmmaking process. So I'll definitely give the film props for that. There's just a few things here and there with the filmmaking, a few, I guess, choices that were made that I don't think particularly works. A couple of the things that stand out to me is, one, the director, Justin Baldoni. He seems kind of obsessed with tight close-ups. Just about any time two characters are having a conversation, it looks like this. And it's a fine filmmaking technique. It's a legit shot to use, but he uses it so much that it ended up getting distracting. Another thing that stood out to me is there was this one part in the film where there was a really emotional moment going on, and instead of sticking with the performance, they kept cutting back to past events in the film. And I understand you want to kind of show what the character is reflecting on, but we were watching the movie, we pay attention, like we know what was going on, we have an idea of what this character is reflecting on. And so I really wish they would have had a long take, just one shot on the actor, and really just let the performance shine. So I feel like kind of the cutting back and forth lessened the impact a little bit for me. But I will say, I don't think the editing got in the way of the storytelling that much in this film. That's really like the only part I can think of. So other than all of that, the filmmaking is good. It's solid. It's competent. The colors are good. The sets and the costume design is good. The editing, for the most part, is good. And the cinematography, again, for the most part, when they're not using a ton of those close-up shots, it's good. I think where the film fails the most to me is with the characters and kind of with the story. I think the concept of this story is really interesting and potentially important, but I don't necessarily think it was executed the best. I think the pacing of this film was horrible. Part of that has to do with the script. Some of it has to do with the directing, but I think the pacing was absolutely horrible. There were times in this film where it just completely dragged, and I was so bored. Sometimes it felt like it took forever for us to get new information in the story, for us to kind of push the story forward, and it shouldn't feel like that. I mean, there was even a point in the film where I thought, should I just like lean over to my wife and tell her that I'm going to go sneak into a showing of Deadpool and Wolverine and I will meet her after the movie's over? I didn't do that. I stuck it out. But for me to have that thought at some point in this film, that's not good. But the reason I did say that I think this story is potentially important is because it does deal with domestic violence. So if that is something that triggers anything, that's something that you just don't want any part of, then I would recommend not watching this film. I've seen some people have been saying that they think it kind of glorifies domestic violence, or it kind of excuses it, or kind of makes it okay. And I don't think that that's the case. I do disagree with that statement. Some people point to it's the way the characters act that kind of justify it or something or other, but like no details, obviously, but from my experience in my life, from what I have seen, I think that the characters did act realistically. So, however, I do think that it is portrayed relatively realistically and it's not glorifying it at all. I do think that they could have handled the situation and the story a little bit better. I just feel like maybe the story and the handling of it could have been a little bit stronger. One of the biggest issues in this film for me is that the characters are just not fleshed out at all. They all seem very shallow. There's really not a lot to them. I mean, if you were to ask me to try to describe a couple of these characters to you as if I was describing a friend, I wouldn't be able to do that. My wife said she had enough context and she knew these characters well enough, but then she also admitted it's because she read the book. Our main character, Lily, the only things I could tell you about her is that she's kind and she loves flowers. And that's really it. And I need more from the characters than that. With a film like this, not only do you need strong characters, but you need great performances and great chemistry between the actors. And I really don't think we had that here. Blake Lively plays the main character, Lily, and I think Blake Lively is talented. I think she is a good actress. She's a good performer, but I feel like about 70% of the lines that she delivered in this film they just felt flat, kind of emotionless a little bit from time to time. Maybe that's how the character is supposed to be. I didn't read the book. I don't know. But for me, judging it on the film alone, it didn't work for me. There were some moments in this film where Blake Lively's performance was really good. You kind of started to feel what the character was feeling, and that's exactly what you want. But there's just not enough of that. I couldn't connect with her as much as I would have wanted to. I wish there was more of that connection there. The director, Justin Baldoni, actually also played one of the love interests here, and I don't think he did a very good job at all. I just think his performance was pretty weak. His character was supposed to be charming at the beginning, and you were supposed to like him. He's supposed to seem like a nice guy, but right from the beginning, I did not like his character. I thought he was very creepy. Also, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively had absolutely zero chemistry. Their chemistry is non-existent. I don't buy that relationship between those two characters at all, and that really, really hurts the film. I wasn't really a big fan of the film Anyone But You. You can go back on my channel. I did a review of it. I was the biggest fan of it, but the thing that helped it more was the performance and the charm and the chemistry of Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney. We didn't have any of that here. Although I would say her character's introduction to the story was kind of odd, I think Jenny Slate did a really good job in this. She just kind of played this quirky, funny best friend character, and it worked. I think she had a good performance. And I would say that Brandon Sklenar is probably the best part of the film for me. His performance throughout the whole film was very convincing. I believed his character, and he had much better chemistry with Blake Lively. He was just really solid throughout the whole film. He really didn't have any weak spots in his performance. He had a few different scenes of both more like expressive emotion and then more subdued. And I think he really nailed both sides of the character. And overall, I just really enjoyed his performance. As a whole, was this film specifically made for me? Kind of like Deadpool and Wolverine was? No, this film was not specifically made for me. But however, I'm open to just about anything, and I was wanting to like this film. But I think there's just too many problems in this film for me to say that I like it. I was bored through quite a bit of this film, which is definitely not what you want to see. The pacing was bad. Not all of the performances were that great. And a lot of the chemistry that needed to be there just was not there at all. There was this odd reliance on the super close-ups, and that ended up being distracting, and I needed more from these characters to really get connected with them. The characters in a film like this need to carry the film, and it just didn't happen. I shouldn't have to read a book to get more context and to really understand and get to know these characters. It's competently made, and there are glimpses of really good performances here, but overall, it's just not enough. For me, I think I'm going to have to give it a 2 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of It Ends With Us. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments section down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.